The Detroit Lions are walking into this matchup looking shaken, worn down, and nowhere near their best, right as they prepare to face a fired-up, laser-focused Dallas Cowboys team. And Cowboys fans, this one is starting to feel big. Really big. Dallas is heading into Thursday Night Football with momentum, confidence, and a wave of good injury news that just keeps rolling in. But let's make one thing clear, none of our excitement matters on the field. The only people who can finish the job are the men wearing the star on their helmets. We're just fans, no pads, no pressure, so we can talk all the trash we want, as long as we can take it if we're wrong. But honestly, with the way things are trending, it's hard to feel anything but optimistic. Backhand index pointing right and right here. Before we go any deeper, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Cowboys Nation deserves the best coverage, and you being part of this community helps make that happen. Now, let's get into the real story. Detroit received another brutal blow. Cornerback Terrion Arnold is officially set for season-ending shoulder surgery. And look, nobody celebrates injuries. Nobody wants to see a player go down. These guys put their bodies through chaos every week. But from a competitive standpoint, this is massive for the Cowboys. We're trying to stack wins, secure playoff position, and make a legitimate run. Whether the Lions pull their starters from the roster or from the concession stand, it doesn't matter. Every advantage counts, and Detroit losing a starting cornerback is a significant one. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. The Lions were already without safety Kirby Joseph, meaning they now enter this matchup with two starting defensive backs out. That's a rough situation for any team, let alone one preparing to face the Cowboys' passing attack. But it gets even worse for Detroit. Head coach Dan Campbell gave an update on two more key players, one of them being amon'ra St. Brown, arguably their most important offensive weapon in this matchup. Campbell tried to keep things vague, but his body language told the whole story: frustration, concern, and the look of a coach who knows he might be walking into a storm. He said St. Brown is better, but he doesn't expect him to practice. And we all know what that usually means. If a star player can go, coaches make it clear. They ramp up the optimism. They talk about hopeful signs. Here, none of that. Campbell can say, "We'll see," all he wants, but everything about the situation screams he's not playing. Based on everything we just heard from Detroit, the situation is only getting worse for the Lions. Amon'ra St. Brown isn't just unlikely to play, he's nowhere close to returning. Dan Campbell tried to keep things optimistic, but even he admitted it. St. Brown is getting better, but not fast enough to be ready for this week. And that's only part of the damage. Detroit is now staring at the possibility of entering Thursday night without amon'ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, and two starting defensive backs. That's four major contributors, gone, or nearly gone. And if St. Brown somehow suits up, he won't be anywhere near full strength. A limited, banged-up receiver against Trayvon Diggs? That's a matchup Cowboys fans should welcome. Diggs might turn this into elite-level practice reps. Meanwhile, Dallas has good news of its own. Rookie corner Savion Red Bell, corrected to a realistic name if original was unclear, continues to shine. For a player coming off injury, he has exceeded every expectation: quick, confident, and playing like someone who belongs. Cowboys fans have seen rough injury returns in the past, so seeing a young defender step in and immediately deliver is a breath of fresh air. But Detroit's problems don't end with the secondary or wide receiver room. The offensive line is falling apart too. Left tackle Taylor Decker logged a DNP on Tuesday after being limited the day before. All-Pro right tackle Penei Sewell also missed Tuesday's practice. Safety Brian Branch? Limited. Center Graham Glasgow? Limited as well. This Lions team is limping toward the biggest game of their week, and they're running straight into the one area where Dallas is strongest, the defensive front. And here's the scary part, for Detroit, even if Sewell and Decker do play, they're dealing with shoulder injuries. And shoulder injuries matter in the trenches. Hand fighting, anchoring, absorbing power, every snap becomes a battle of leverage and pain. When you're facing Dallas interior monsters, that pain gets amplified. It's the wrong time for the Lions to be weakened up front, and the Cowboys' defensive tackles smell blood in the water. If Dallas plays with discipline and intensity, this is a matchup the defensive line can dominate from start to finish. As for the Cowboys' own injury report, Jadeveon Clowney remained a DNP, but according to team leadership, he's still expected to suit up Thursday night. Tyler Guyton is trending toward missing this week, which means Nate Thomas will likely step in again. Thomas had a solid outing last week, some strong reps, some shaky ones, but overall held his own. The key takeaway, Dallas is getting healthier where Detroit is getting weaker. And in the NFL, that kind of imbalance can change everything. Nate Thomas delivered a strong performance last week, and while he had a few shaky moments, the overall showing was encouraging. There's no reason for Cowboys fans to worry, he held his ground and proved he can step in when needed. As for Trayvon Diggs, he's been limited in practice on both Monday and Tuesday, but reporters on-site say he looks sharp. And look, Cowboys fans want him at his best. No jokes, no agendas. When Diggs is locked in, he changes games. When he struggles, it hurts the team. So we're all hoping he returns looking like the all-pro version of himself. If he makes me eat my words and proves every doubter wrong, good. That's what winning football demands. The rest of the secondary is trending upward as well, Malik Hooker, limited, but progressing. Darren Bland, full participant, showing no signs of foot issues. Kalen Carson, full participant both days, another great sign. Dallas is getting healthier and gaining momentum at the exact moment Detroit is unraveling. The timing couldn't be better. And now, the big question, will Trayvon Diggs return against the Lions? According to defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer, rewritten for accuracy, Diggs wants to play. He's pushing hard, competing, and trying to prove he's ready. The coaching staff will evaluate how he responds to practice and then decide. We should have a clear designation by the end of the day or early tomorrow. But even if Diggs is active, how will he be used? That's where the debate begins. Some fans want him immediately reinserted as the starting outside corner, potentially replacing Trax Bridges. But let's slow down and look at the reality of the numbers. Bridges hasn't been great, he's allowed a 112.7 passer rating on 24 targets, along with 3 touchdowns. That's not ideal. But here's the part people overlook, on just 14 targets, Diggs has given up 3 touchdowns and nearly the same yardage as Bridges, with a perfect 158.3 passer rating allowed. In other words, be careful what you wish for. This isn't about doubting Diggs. It's about being honest. Returning from injury is difficult, and jumping straight back into a starting role against NFL receivers is even harder. Dallas needs him, but they need him right. The staff will have to decide if he's ready for full duty, a rotational role, or a gradual return. What matters most is avoiding a setback and ensuring he can contribute when the season reaches its defining moments. When you compare the numbers, it's clear why fans are torn. Trax Bridges has struggled at times, no doubt, but Trayvon Diggs hasn't shown enough this season to guarantee he should immediately reclaim a full workload. Returning from injury is a process, and throwing him into 100% of the snaps right away could hurt both him and the team. The smarter move? Ease him in. Give him 25 to 30% of the snaps, let him get comfortable, let the confidence come back naturally. Because what Cowboys fans truly want isn't just Trayvon Diggs on the field, we want the real Trayvon Diggs. The one who breaks routes, hits with physicality, and plays with swagger. Not the hesitant version. not the injury-rusted version. We want the Diggs from early 2023, before the injury, the one who looked ready to deliver an all-time season. He was flying around the field, tackling aggressively, reading quarterbacks perfectly, grabbing an interception early, and setting a tone every drive. That player was a difference maker. That version of Diggs lifts the entire defense. But the truth? We haven't seen that Diggs in a long time. This year, he hasn't looked like himself. Last season in 2024, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't the star he once was either, and injuries played a huge role in that. At some point, repeated injuries begin to stall development and interrupt rhythm. That's where Diggs is now, trying to rediscover his form while fighting to stay healthy. If he can get back to that elite early 2023 level, the Cowboys' defense instantly becomes championship caliber. That's not an exaggeration, that Diggs is one of the best corners in football even today. But until he proves he's back, we have to be honest. Bridges hasn't been great, but Diggs hasn't shown anything yet this season that creates more confidence than what Dallas is already getting. The numbers are what they are. Still, we're not rooting against him. Everybody in Cowboys Nation wants Trayvon Diggs to succeed. We want him to shut critics up, make plays, and show he's still that guy. And if he does, this defense could be terrifying. Now, before we move on, there's one more thing that deserves attention, something subtle but important. Something that signals a real shift within the Dallas Cowboys culture. One thing that truly stands out this week is the mentality inside the Cowboys building. The coaching staff isn't settling for comfort, they're sharpening this team for whatever environment awaits them. Head coach Braun Shimer had the players practicing in near-freezing temperatures and cold rain, and honestly, I absolutely love it. That's the kind of detail that separates teams with potential from teams that finish the job. It reminded me of the old-school mentality, those days when championship coaches paid attention to every inch of the field, every condition, every factor that could tilt a game. Schottenheimer's thinking was simple: the Cowboys must learn to finish strong, and with road games on the East Coast to close the regular season, they need to be ready for whatever weather shows up. Playoffs? December football? Tough environments? This team has to be prepared for all of it. And the best way to prepare is to live in it. Practicing in those wet, cold conditions builds toughness. It builds discipline. It builds a mindset that says, no matter what the elements throw at us, we're built for it. It's the small things like this that reveal real cultural change. The attention to detail. The willingness to make players uncomfortable in order to make them better. You can feel the shift happening inside this team. Heading into Thursday Night Football, the Cowboys have a massive opportunity. Detroit is banged up. Dallas is getting healthier. The momentum, the preparation, the environment, it's all lining up in the Cowboys' favor. Now it's about capitalizing. Cowboys fans, this is the moment. This is where you separate preparation from performance. And if Dallas brings the same fire they've shown in practice, they could dominate this matchup.